Direct News TV. August 26, 2023. Russia-Ukraine War Live, Ukrainian commander hails breakthrough in South. A Ukrainian commander fighting in the south said he believes Ukrainian forces have broken through the most difficult Russian defensive line and will now be able to advance more quickly. Russia's defense ministry claimed that a drone was downed over the Belgorod region on Saturday. Wall Street Journal reporter appeals extended detention, Moscow court. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich has appealed against a Russian court's decision to extend his pre-trial detention by 3 months, according to documents published by a Moscow court. A Moscow court had extended Gershkovich's pre-trial detention on Thursday, drawing condemnation from the U.S. newspaper and renewed calls for his release. The 31-year-old U.S. citizen's detention was extended to November 30 from August 30, the TASS state news agency reported. Gershkovich was arrested in March on espionage charges that he has denied. Prigozhin's death was a violent liquidation, former UK PM. Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has blamed the death of Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin squarely on Russian President Vladimir Putin. Writing in a column for the British tabloid The Daily Mail, Johnson wrote, "The whole world knows full well, and is intended to know, that the man behind the killing of Prigozhin in the Wagner Group leadership, not to mention the deaths of the crew, is the very same man who authorized, for instance, the poisonings in the UK of Alexander Litvinenko and Sergei Skripal." As we watch the chilling footage of that plane spiraling to earth, we are witnessing something historic. This is the violent liquidation, on TV, of his enemies by an existing head of state. I cannot think of another example of such ostentatious and uninhibited savagery by a world leader, not in our lifetimes. Russia using grain as a weapon, EU official. A senior EU official urged Russia on Saturday to renew a grain deal to allow the safe export of Ukrainian grain through Black Sea ports, after Russia exited the agreement last month. European Commission Executive Vice President Valdis Dombrovskis said Russian restrictions on the shipping of Ukrainian grains via the Black Sea were creating problems not only for Kiev but for many developing countries. Russia is using grain as a weapon, said Dombrovskis, who is in India to participate in a G20 trade ministers meeting. "We support all efforts by United Nations, by Turkey on Black Sea Grain Initiative," he told reporters, adding the bloc was providing alternative trading routes, also called solidarity lanes, to Ukraine for grain and other exports. Russian held in Finland said to be key figure in far-right Wagner affiliate. An alleged member of an extreme right-wing military subunit of the Wagner mercenary force has been arrested in Finland on charges of participation in a terrorist group following a request from Ukraine, according to reports. A detention hearing was scheduled to take place on Friday in a district court near Helsinki, according to Finnish public broadcaster Yle. Finnish police are requesting that the 36-year-old Russian national, identified as Yen Petrovsky, be detained in preparation for his extradition. According to court documents, Petrovsky was allegedly involved in atrocities during fighting in 2014 and 2015 in the Donbass region of eastern Ukraine, Germany's DPA news agency reported. Ukraine's southern offensive. A Ukrainian commander who goes by the call sign Skala, who told Reuters that the armed forces have made a significant breakthrough around the village of Robotyne and expects the counteroffensive to pick up pace in the south now. West ignoring signals from Russia, pushing for WWE, Medvedev. Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of the Kremlin Security Council, has claimed Russia's opponents in the West are ignoring signals from Moscow and pushing everyone towards a third world war, in an interview with TASS and RT. Frankly speaking, it would have definitely been better if they had heard them, the signals. In any case, the world would not have to face the threat of World War III. In fact, this is where our opponents are actively pushing everyone, he is quoted as saying. The Russian news agency TASS highlighted the war between Georgia and Russia in August 2008 as one of the signals that Medvedev was referring to. Russia had time to barricade itself in, Ukrainian ambassador to Germany. Oleksiy Makeyev, Ukraine's ambassador to Germany, highlighted hesitant military support from Western partners as one reason why Ukraine has experienced difficulties with its counteroffensive. Russia had time to barricade itself in, Makeyev said in an interview with the German broadcaster Deutschlandfunk that is set to be released on Sunday, which was obtained by German news agency DPA. It took a very long time to prepare and equip the Ukrainian attack brigades, he said, adding that these brigades were now fully equipped with Western weapons and ammunition. Ukraine's counteroffensive has encountered deeply entrenched and mined Russian defensive lines which have slowed its advances and raised concerns among allies that Kiev may fail to make significant progress before winter. 6 injured in Ukrainian shelling of Belgorod region, Governor. The governor of Russia's Belgorod region stated that Ukraine shelled the town of Urazovo, about 10 kilometers 6 miles from the Ukrainian border, on Saturday, injuring 6 people. Russian regions bordering Ukraine have regularly reported shelling by Ukraine's armed forces and occasional cross-border incursions by Ukrainian-backed fighters. Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov accused Ukraine of firing cluster munitions in the attack and said residential buildings had been damaged. As a result of the cluster munition strike, 6 civilians sustained shrapnel wounds, he said in a social media update after initially reporting 4 had been injured. One victim is in extremely serious condition, he wrote on Telegram. Soviet-era hammer and sickle symbol removed from Kiev monument. The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has posted a picture on X of the towering Motherland Monument in Kiev, one of the nation's most recognizable landmarks bearing the country's trident coat of arms instead of the Soviet-era hammer and sickle symbol. The move is part of a wider shift to reclaim Ukraine's cultural identity from the communist past amid Russia's continuing invasion of the country. Erected in 1981 as part of a larger complex housing the National World War II Museum, the 61-meter, 200-foot, monument stands on the right bank of the Dnipro River in Kiev, facing eastward towards Moscow. Created in the image of a fearless female warrior, the statue holds up a sword and a shield which features the Ukrainian trizub, the trident that was adopted as the coat of arms of independent Ukraine on February 19, 1992. Ukraine advance in south, Russia expected to push in northeast, UK intelligence. The UK Ministry of Defence has released its daily public intelligence update. It describes Ukrainian advances in the south of Ukraine, information that correlates with comments made by a Ukrainian commander to Reuters earlier in the day. However, it says that Russian forces can be expected to push in the northeast of Ukraine, where they have made some small advances in recent weeks in an attempt to counter any Ukrainian gains. Russia's Northern Fleet conducts Barents Sea drills, Interfax. Russia's Northern Fleet has conducted Navy exercises in the Barents Sea this month aimed at preventing the passage of unauthorized and foreign ships, the Interfax news agency reported on Saturday. The destroyer Vice Admiral Kulikov practiced a case to repel the actions of a mock intruder vessel in the sea in the Arctic Ocean off the northern coasts of Norway and Russia, Interfax reported, citing the Northern Fleet's press service. The drills began on August 10, but Interfax stated no end date. The fleet plans more exercises to defend Russia's insular and continental territories in the Arctic, as well as to ensure the safety of maritime navigation and other types of Russian maritime economic activities in the Arctic zone, Interfax said. Putin orders Wagner fighters to sign oath of allegiance. Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered Wagner fighters to sign an oath of allegiance to the Russian state on Friday. Putin's introduction of a mandatory oath for employees of Wagner and other private military contractors is seen as a clear move to bring such groups under tighter state control. The decree, published on the Kremlin website, obliges anyone carrying out work on behalf of the military or supporting what Moscow calls its special military operation in Ukraine to swear a formal oath of allegiance to Russia. Described in the decree as a step to forge the spiritual and moral foundations of the defense of Russia, the oath's wording includes a line in which those who take it promise to follow the orders of commanders and senior leaders strictly. 2 people killed by Russian shelling in Kharkiv region, Governor. 2 people were killed and another wounded on Saturday when Russian shelling hit a cafe in the village of Podoli in the eastern Ukrainian region of Kharkiv, local governor Ola Sinhyubov said. The enemy hit a civilian object, a cafe where local residents were during the day, Sinhyubov wrote on Telegram. Podoli was occupied shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, but the village was retaken by Kiev in a counteroffensive last September. Russian forces have been attempting to push forward on the Kharkiv region front line in recent weeks. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.